Hi everyone, I'm Megan. Welcome back to Beguiled by Books, a community of book lovers and word nerds. Today I'm sharing the 7 books I read in October 2025 for our monthly reading wrap up. Let's get started. The end of the calendar year is one of my favorite times of year. I tend to travel a lot, and when I'm not traveling, I'm at home getting ready for the holidays with my family, and it's just a super fun but also very busy time of year for me. So in October, we had a couple of really big things. We had a family wedding we attended, and we had a trip to Denver where we did Martin Garrix's first 3 shows ever at Red Rocks. And it was incredible, and I highly recommend getting to see Martin Garrix live if you're a fan of EDM and electronic music and things like that. And if you're not, definitely go see a show at Red Rocks of an artist that you like because Red Rocks cannot be missed. But that aside, I did not read that many books in October because I was running all over the place and going crazy with so much fun. So I did manage to read 7 books, and I'm super excited to share a little insight about what I read this month. I started October reading Decision Making in the Age of Plastics, which is a relatively new book, and I really couldn't find it like on bookshop.org yet. But the author of this book is the founder of a product called the Cora Ball. And the Cora Ball is a thing I picked up actually at the Seattle or Vancouver Aquarium, I think maybe Vancouver, back in 2019. And it helps create less friction with your clothes in the washing machine to reduce shedding of clothes and help pick up excess hair and lint and things like that. And with someone with very long hair and cats in the house, getting all that excess hair not trapped in my washing machine was very exciting for me. I know I'm a nerd, shocking. But the core ball ended up breaking and I needed a part, and they sell replacement parts. So I ordered a replacement part and got this book along with it. That's the long-winded story of how I acquired this book. But decision making in the age of plastics is very much like a choose your own adventure. So if you're interested in getting a new fleece jacket, there are different thought patterns you go through in this book. Like, why do I need a new jacket? Is fleece the best material? Here's what fleece is and does and how it affects the environment. And it helps you decide what's best for you and takes into account budget, takes into account needs, single use. Is this going to be a permanent fixture in your daily wardrobe? All different types of things. And it talks about not just fleece jackets, but food storage containers and other different ways we encounter plastics in innocuous ways in our daily life. So it was a really interesting book, and it's a good reference book. So I recommend keeping it if you're trying to reduce plastic consumption in your household, and see where you go. In October, my hubby started listening to Fourth Wing again, so a re-listen. And I'm a reader, whether it's a digital or physical book type of reader. I don't do a ton of audiobooks, but we were doing lots of weekend road trips and fun things like that. So we ended up listening to Fourth Wing together, as well as Iron Flame in October. So, really fun for me to hear a narrated version of these books that I love so much. And I thoroughly enjoyed both the Iron Flame and Fourth Wing narrator. We're just starting Onyx Storm now, and audio for a physical reader is really interesting because the emphasis on certain tones and the characters and how these characters are represented can really help bring something to life that your imagination maybe didn't pick up on. I've really, really enjoyed it. I have another video about the art of rereading books, and what I love about the audiobook is how interested in other characters I am outside of the main 2 characters. So it's really interesting to pick up on these personality quirks and how much effort these narrators really do put into audio versions of books. So definitely recommend checking out different types and different styles of consuming books if you've got one pretty fixed way of consuming books. Amongst the audiobooks, I read a book called Poverty by America, which is by Matthew Desmond. Now, I read his book Evicted several years ago and found it to be a very powerful and moving story about housing the unhoused and the poorly housed in the United States, especially in secondary cities and secondary markets that we don't really talk about, like Raleigh, Durham, like Denver, like Milwaukee, like Minneapolis, those types of cities, not your big main New York, LA, Philly kind of places. So Poverty is, I don't want to call it a follow-up book because it doesn't really have a lot to do with the housing market specifically and the rental market specifically, but Poverty is exactly that. It's about the people who live in poverty and what that really looks like and why our US poverty line is what it is. It hasn't been updated in a cajillion years. It's based on old, outdated data. It doesn't take account into any of the technological advancements that we as a culture, as a society, as a planet have made that have become ubiquitous. It doesn't talk about, the poverty line doesn't include phones, internet, like those types of utilities that we need now to have a level playing field and doesn't really take into account inflation the way it should. And it's a fascinating book. What I loved about Poverty by America is he comes to the table with solutions, not just laying out a problem. I am getting frustrated with nonfiction books lately that are just talking about problems and the author is using a platform basically to rant without being able to provide solutions. And I get it. Solutions are hard. These problems persist because they are difficult to solve. But in his research and in his journalism, Matthew Desmond has said, here's what the data shows, here's how we can change things, and here is a reasonable solution we can put in place if we can get everybody to agree upon it. I want more people to read this so more people can become aware of this really big problem we have, especially in the United States, which is allegedly one of the best countries in the world, but yet we have all of these things that are staring us in the face that we are as a culture not fixing. So it's really interesting. Thank you for listening to my soapbox, but great book and highly recommend anyone read this who's interested in helping create a better culture and a better world, especially for the next generations. I read a book called The Road of Bones in October, and I've had this on my shelf for, gosh, a year, maybe a little longer than a year. And I started reading it because I actually got the second book in the series as an advanced reader copy. So that was the kick in the butt that I needed to start reading a new series. And The Road of Bones is a very Nordic fantasy themed book. So we've got a completely made up world, we've got a magic system, we've got our main character that's got some suppressed power that even she doesn't know about. And it's about this adventure going to the next big city where she needs to be and all of the things that happen and how she arrives at certain revelations. Really, really good first book of the series. I'm super excited to read the second one, which I will hopefully get to read in November. I'm still a little scared because I read the first book of a trilogy about a year ago, which was amazing, and the second and third book of the trilogy were huge letdowns. So now I've just got like a little bit of reticence around that. So I'm gonna see how the second book goes before I full on recommend the series. But book one was very good, and I do love a good Nordic Scandi themed world, so that was super fun as well. We'll see how the rest of the series goes. Fingers crossed. In October, of course, when everything is happening and everything is super chaotic for me, I got a book from the library, Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. And while I don't talk about Holly Jackson nearly as much as I should on this channel, I do love her books. I've read every single thing she's written, and Not Quite Dead Yet is really fun. It's a great little mystery book. You probably know I don't love a mystery. I don't love a whodunit because I can figure it out. I did figure this one out pretty early, but I enjoyed the journey, which to me is the best part. So even though I had a pretty good idea of who our big bad villain was in the book, I really loved how Holly Jackson wove everything together. The misdirection, the red herrings, they were all really well done. And it's just, she writes so naturally, and I really appreciate that. It's not contrived, it's not forced, it feels real. It feels like you know these characters, you know elements of these people in your life, and she's a really good writer, and I just enjoy that fun element of a mystery book. So go check out Not Quite Dead Yet. It's a really fun one. And then check out all the other Holly Jackson books too, because they're awesome too. I wrapped up October finishing Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time. And this is a book I've never read before. It's a book that is actually very approachable. Now, I do tend to read a lot of science books. I tend to read a lot of really nerdy nonfiction. It's right up my alley, and I'm working on a secret project on the side over here, and this is research more than reading for enjoyment. So, enjoyed A Brief History of Time, learned a lot, but what I really appreciated about it is how approachable Stephen Hawking makes quantum science. And there is a reason he became such a big name beyond the fact that he overcame so many physical struggles, but the approach he takes to teaching the average layperson quantum mechanics, quantum gravity, this type of thing, the science of black holes. It's shocking how easily anyone can absorb this. So, if you are interested, even the slightest little bit in science, in space, in quantum theory, check out A Brief History of Time. It's really good, very approachable. It's not a textbook. It's very, very well done, and it's been updated over the years as more information has come out. So definitely, definitely check out A Brief History of Time. As always, I'm super curious to know what you're reading this month. What have you loved? What have you not loved? Drop me a comment. I'm always interested in hearing what you've got to say. And hey, you never know, I might be able to read one of the books you recommend and talk about it on one of my reading wrap-ups. Please drop me a comment. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video or got a book you're interested in from it. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. And until next time, happy reading!